Hi and welcome to Whisky Shared. You're watching my review of Compass Box Great King Street Glasgow blend. I'm Toby and you're watching Whisky Shared. Welcome to my review of Compass Box Great King Street Glasgow blend. It's Compass Box's 20th anniversary and I've already covered two whiskies from Compass Box. If you haven't seen those already, I'll put a link in the description so you can check those out. This is the Great King Street Glasgow blend. Unlike the Artist blend, which I've already covered, this one focuses on Glasgow as a city and the fact that Glasgow drinkers were known to like much more rich, intense and bold flavours. So what Compass Box have done with this one is they've given it a decent influence of peat. They've also aged some of the blend in sherry barrels. The whisky itself is non-chill filtered, it's uncoloured and it's at 43%. The whisky that is inside comes from 65% malt whisky, which is made up of Lefroy from Islay. It's made up from Clynelish distillery, and it's also made up of an undisclosed distillery near the town of Aberlour, and those have been aged in sherry barrels. So you could probably take a guess as to which the distillery near Aberlour is. The 35% remaining comes from grain whisky, which is from the Cameron Bridge distillery. Shall we find out what this tastes like? On to the whisky. Right, so before I start nosing and tasting, I will point out that the Great King Street bottles are available in 50cl and 70cl bottles. The 70cl bottles are normally much better value because they're not much more than the 50cl bottles, but obviously you do get a decent amount more. Let's start off with the colour. I'd say that's a deep gold, bearing in mind this is uncoloured, it has got a nice hue. Let's try it on the nose. Right, so you can instantly tell that there's some peated whisky in this. I get band-aids or sticking plasters. There's a nice waft of peat smoke in there. There is a hint of burnt rubber, possibly. There's some charred oak, definitely heavily charred oak. And there's also a hint of vanilla in the background, so there is a hint of sweetness with this. So it's not all peat smoke, and that peat smoke isn't dominating. It's there, it's present, and it's definitely not for beginners, but it's not too overpowering either. So let's move on to the palate. Right, so it is fairly light. I wouldn't say it's got much body or texture to it, but the first thing you get is sweetness, like vanilla sweetness. It really is quite sweet, but very quickly that's taken over by quite a strong burnt wood smoke. Yeah, that really is what dominates your palate just as soon as you start to swallow it. But that sweetness is still sitting there in the background. It's a nice combination. Let's have another sip, see what else I get. Yeah, so I'm getting more sweetness now. It's more like custard, like yeah, it's really sort of like a sweet custard. That vanilla is really quite noticeable, and the flavours then develop into like an icing sugar, like a powdered sugar. It is really really quite sweet. But in the background, that smoke is starting to build. So obviously, the more you sip this, the more the sweetness increases, but also the more the smoke increases. Let's have one more sip. Yeah, so although this starts off quite light, doesn't really have much texture. After 2 or 3 sips, the viscosity is starting to ramp up. It's noticeable, in terms of mouthfeel. It's really quite nice. That burnt wood smoke is not overly peaty, it's not overly medicinal, it's really quite nice. And yeah, the sweetness is lots of vanilla, lots of sugar. The finish is quite long. I'd say it is that sweetness, that powdered sugar. There's a faint bonfire smoke that really does linger for some time, and a little heat on the tongue. In terms of comparisons to this and the other Great King Street, obviously they're poles apart there. They're intended for different audiences, but they are intended to look back at 19th century whiskey making, but adding a 21st century technological twist to how they make it. So inspired by the past, but keeping it bang up to current with the future. So it really is quite a nice dram. It's not a big peat hit. It is quite sweet. I think some people might be put off with that if you prefer a more savoury peaty dram. But the fact that that peat isn't overpowering, it's a good sort of, it's the sort of bottle that you'd reach for, maybe to start the evening if you were starting with peat, and then obviously moving on to something heavy hitting after. But it's interesting because obviously it's got high malt content. It doesn't taste too much like a blend, and at the sort of £40 mark for the 70cl bottle, I'd say yeah, it's reasonable value for what goes into this. And yeah, I'm even tempted to buy a whole bottle myself. If it sounds like it's your thing, why not go out and try it? And if it doesn't, then maybe you'll prefer my next one. If you want to geek out on all the details, I'll put a link to the spec sheet in the description, and you can check that out from Compass Box. And yeah, if you don't already, why not subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one. Stauncher.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not give it a like or a comment, and please consider subscribing for more videos like this.